Hold still, ghetto girl. Time for a real makeover. Security guard Tom Williams gripped Maya's wrists, pinning her arms to the plastic chair. Dr. Richard Matthews grabbed her hair and yanked her head back. His electric razor tore through her natural twists. Chunks of black hair scattered across the white break room floor. Maya Johnson sat motionless, despite being restrained. The other nurses gasped and pulled out phones. Tom's face showed conflict, but he held firm under the doctor's authority. "This is what a professional looks like," Dr. Matthews declared, shaving another strip. He kicked the fallen hair with his Italian leather shoe. "Maybe now you'll fit our standards." Maya's Hermes keychain caught the fluorescent light as she checked her watch. 2:47 p.m., 13 minutes left. Maya never flinched. Have you ever watched someone destroy themselves without knowing it while their victim counted down to their revenge? 2:50 p.m., 3 minutes. Earlier, Maya had entered the break room carrying her simple lunch in a reusable container. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as she chose an empty table near the window. Her natural hair was styled in professional twists that framed her face beautifully, a style that had taken 2 hours at the salon last weekend. Dr. Matthews was already there with 3 residents, telling what he clearly thought was a hilarious story about diversity hires lowering standards. His voice carried across the room with practiced arrogance. The residents, all young, all white, all desperate for his approval, laughed at exactly the right moments. "I swear they're hiring anyone with a pulse these days," he said, not bothering to lower his voice. "Affirmative action at its finest. Standards going straight down the drain." Maya ignored the comment and opened her tablet to review patient charts. Mrs. Rodriguez in room 314 needed her medication adjusted. Her blood sugar levels had been fluctuating despite the new insulin regimen. Mr. Carter's blood pressure was finally stabilizing after the cardiac episode. She made notes with careful precision, her handwriting neat and professional. "Speaking of which," Dr. Matthews continued, his eyes finding Maya, "look what the diversity program dragged in today. Perfect timing for my little demonstration." The residents chuckled nervously. Dr. Peterson, fresh out of medical school, shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Maya continued working, but her fingers tightened slightly around her pen, a Mont Blanc she'd received as a graduation gift. Dr. Matthews approached her table uninvited. At 6'2", he towered over her 5'4" frame. His expensive cologne couldn't mask the smugness radiating from every pore. His surgical scrubs were pristine, his hair perfectly styled with products that probably cost more than most people's weekly grocery budget. "That hair violates every hygiene standard we have," he announced loudly enough for the entire room to hear. "Unprofessional doesn't even begin to cover it. It's like a bird's nest explosion." Maya looked up from her tablet, meeting his gaze steadily. "My hair is clean and properly secured according to hospital policy, Dr. Matthews. I reviewed the employee handbook thoroughly." "Policy?" He laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "I am the policy here. 20 years of surgery gives me that authority, and I say you look like you just rolled out of bed in the projects." Several nurses at nearby tables shifted uncomfortably. Nurse Jennifer Walsh quietly moved closer, her phone already in her hand. Someone's pager buzzed with an urgent notification from the ICU. Dr. Matthews grabbed the maintenance cart from the corner, where janitor Carlos had left an electric razor after trimming the artificial plants in the lobby. The tool felt heavy in his hands as he tested the motor. The buzz filled the room with mechanical menace. "Time for some on-the-spot education," he declared, his voice taking on the theatrical quality he used during surgical demonstrations. "Consider this a practical lesson in professional appearance." Maya's military training kicked in. She remained seated but alert, every muscle ready. "Dr. Matthews, I need to return to my patients. Mrs. Rodriguez is expecting her evening medication. Your patients can wait. This is more important than whatever charity case you're babying upstairs." He moved behind her chair with predatory slowness. Maya felt his presence like a storm cloud, but she didn't turn around. Her phone screen showed 2:51 p.m., 12 minutes left. Her heart rate remained steady, Army discipline held firm. "Tom, doctor," Matthews called the security guard. "Little help here. We need to maintain order during this educational moment." Tom Williams hesitated in the doorway, his massive frame filling the entrance. He'd worked at St. Catherine's for 8 years, seen too many power plays, witnessed too much casual cruelty from men in white coats. He'd seen Dr. Matthews' temper before, but nothing like this public spectacle. "Doc, I don't think this is— Are you questioning my authority, Tom?" Matthews' voice carried the weight of 20 years in surgery, hundreds of successful operations, and the unspoken threat of career destruction. "This is a matter of professional standards. Hospital protocol demands compliance." Tom looked at Maya, then at the growing crowd of staff members pressing against the doorway. His radio crackled with routine calls from other floors, a patient requesting extra blankets, a visitor asking for directions. Protocol demanded he support the doctors even when his conscience screamed otherwise. His own daughter was about Maya's age, working as a teacher in Oakland. Slowly, reluctantly, Tom approached Maya's chair, his footsteps echoing on the polished linoleum. "Ma'am, if you could just cooperate, please. Make this easier on everyone." Maya met his eyes directly. She saw the apology there, the shame, the impossible position Dr. Matthews had put him in. She understood the system's machinery, how it ground up good people who couldn't afford to resist. She nodded almost imperceptibly. "It's okay, Tom. Do what you have to do. I understand." Tom's large hands circled her wrists gently, but his grip was firm and inescapable. Maya didn't resist as he positioned her arms against the chair. She could have fought back. Her Army self-defense training was still sharp after 3 years of civilian life, but that would only escalate everything and give Matthews more ammunition. Dr. Matthews positioned himself behind her, razor in hand, savoring the theatrical moment. "Now we begin the real lesson. Pay attention, everyone." Resident Dr. Sarah Kim pulled out her phone instinctively. The live stream app was already open from showing her morning workout to her sorority sisters. Without thinking, she hit the broadcast button and started recording. "OMG, you guys, you absolutely won't believe what's happening right now," she whispered to her audience. The viewer count started at 0, then climbed steadily. 3 viewers, 8 viewers, 15 viewers, 23 viewers. Maya closed her eyes briefly, centering herself with breathing techniques learned in basic training, then opened them with renewed focus. Her Hermes keychain caught the fluorescent light as she checked her watch one final time. 2:52 p.m. 11 minutes remained. Despite her restrained position, she managed to open her phone's notes app and began typing with her thumbs. Her fingers moved quickly and precisely, documenting everything. Exact timestamps, witness names, verbatim quotes, physical descriptions. Dr. Matthews didn't notice her digital record-keeping. He was too busy savoring his moment of absolute power, too confident in his untouchable authority to consider any possible consequences. 20 years of unchallenged dominance had made him careless. The electric razor hummed to life with mechanical inevitability. Maya took a deep breath and prepared herself mentally for what came next. "This is going to hurt you more than it hurts me," Dr. Matthews said with a laugh that chilled every decent person in the room. He was wrong about that. Very, very wrong. 2:53 p.m. The electric razor bit into Maya's hairline. Her beautiful twists fell away in chunks, scattering across the break room floor like discarded dreams. Dr. Matthews worked with surgical precision, each stroke deliberate and humiliating. "Oh, look at this mess!" he announced to his growing audience. "This is what happens when standards slip, when we prioritize diversity over quality." The live stream viewer count exploded. 156 viewers, 342 viewers, 589 viewers. Comments flooded the screen faster than anyone could read them. "Someone call the police! This is assault! Fire this racist doctor! Where is this happening?" Dr. Sarah Kim's hands trembled as she held her phone steady. She'd never seen anything like this in medical school. Part of her wanted to stop recording, but another part knew this needed to be documented. Maya remained perfectly still as more hair fell. Her scalp showed through in irregular patches where the razor had passed. She continued typing notes on her phone with mechanical precision. 2:53 p.m., physical assault documented, multiple witnesses present, continuing to gather evidence. "You're awfully quiet," Dr. Matthews observed, pausing his work to address Maya directly. "A cat got your tongue? Or maybe you're finally learning some respect." Maya looked up at him through the phone cameras capturing everything. I'm listening very carefully, Dr. Matthews, taking note of every word. Something in her tone made him pause, but his arrogance quickly reasserted itself. Good. Maybe there's hope for you after all. 2:54 p.m., hospital administrator Rebecca Carter burst through the break room doors, her expensive heels clicking on the linoleum. She'd been alerted by panicked calls from 3 different department heads. Her perfectly styled hair and designer suits screamed corporate authority. "What in God's name is going on here?" she demanded. The room fell silent, except for the continued buzzing of the razor. Dr. Matthews didn't stop his work, but he smiled broadly. "Ah, Rebecca, perfect timing. Just handling a minor policy enforcement issue, making sure everyone understands our professional standards." Rebecca's eyes took in the scene. Maya restrained in the chair, hair scattered across the floor, phones recording everything. Tom Williams looking like he wanted to disappear into the wall. "Richard, you need to stop this immediately. Do you have any idea what this looks like?" "It looks like leadership," Dr. Matthews replied smoothly. "Something this hospital has been lacking lately, too much coddling of substandard employees." Rebecca pulled out her own phone and started making calls. "Legal department? We have a situation. No, a big situation. Get up here now." Maya watched the administrator's reaction carefully. Rebecca wasn't horrified by the racism, she was terrified by the liability. The distinction was important and telling. 2:55 p.m. The break room had become a circus. Word had spread through the hospital like wildfire. Nurses crowded the doorway, some filming, others calling their union representatives. Maintenance staff gathered in the hallway, led by Carlos, who'd witnessed too much discrimination in his 20 years of janitorial work. Dr. Peterson, the young resident, finally found his voice. "Dr. Matthews, shouldn't you consider keeping your mouth shut?" Matthews snapped without pausing his razor work. "Unless you want to join her in learning about professional consequences." The threat silenced Peterson immediately, but his discomfort was visible to everyone recording. Maya's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The name on the screen read David London. She declined the call but sent a quick text. "In meeting. We'll call in 8 minutes." The response came back immediately. "Everything all right, darling? Everything is perfect. Proceeding as planned." Dr. Matthews noticed her texting. "Put that phone away. This is a learning experience, not a social hour." "Actually," Maya said calmly, "I'm documenting evidence for my upcoming legal proceedings. Title VII violations, Section 1983 civil rights claims, workplace harassment, and now assault charges. Please continue." The legal terminology made several people in the room exchange nervous glances. Rebecca Carter's face went white. "Maya," Rebecca interrupted, her voice taking on a pleading tone. "Perhaps we can discuss this privately, work something out. I think public documentation is more appropriate, given the public nature of the humiliation." 2:56 p.m. The live stream had gone viral. #St. Catherine's racism was trending on Twitter. The viewer count hit 1,247 and climbed rapidly. Local news stations were already dispatching crews. Hospital CEO Dr. Jonathan Stone arrived with his entourage of lawyers and PR specialists. His silver hair was perfectly styled, his $1,000 suit impeccable. He surveyed the chaos with the calculating eyes of someone who'd spent 30 years in medical administration. "Richard," he said quietly, his voice carrying absolute authority, "step away from the patient." "Patient?" Dr. Matthews laughed harshly. "She's an employee who needs attitude adjustment. I'm providing necessary corrections." "She's a human being you're assaulting on camera in front of 1,000 viewers," Dr. Stone replied coldly. "This hospital's reputation is being destroyed in real time." Dr. Matthews finally paused, razor still in hand, and looked around the room. For the first time, he seemed to register the cameras, the crowd, the gravity of what he'd done, but his arrogance was too entrenched for real comprehension. "Our reputation will be fine once people understand we maintain standards, unlike some institutions that pander to political correctness." Maya checked her watch again. 7 minutes left. She could see Dr. Stone studying her carefully. The expensive watch, the calm demeanor, the legal vocabulary she'd been using. Something was clicking in his mind. 2:57 p.m. Tom Williams finally spoke up, his voice heavy with shame and exhaustion. "Dr. Matthews, I can't do this anymore. This ain't right, and everyone knows it." He released Maya's wrists and stepped back. "I got a daughter her age. I can't look at myself in the mirror after this." Dr. Matthews whirled on him. "You're fired, Tom. Security badge on my desk in 5 minutes." "Good," Tom replied with dignity that surprised everyone. "I'd rather be unemployed than complicit in this." The room erupted in whispers and murmurs. Several nurses started clapping for Tom's courage. Maya rubbed her wrists where he'd held them, not in pain but in a gesture that looked deeply symbolic on camera. "Tom," Maya said clearly, her voice carrying to every phone and camera, "you're a good man who was put in an impossible position. I don't hold this against you." Her grace under pressure was striking. Comments on the live stream reflected the growing admiration. "She's handling this with incredible dignity. This woman is stronger than I could ever be. Who is she? She's amazing." 2:58 p.m. Dr. Matthews, now working alone, grabbed Maya's hair more roughly. "Everyone's feeling sorry for you, aren't they? Playing the victim perfectly." "I'm not playing anything, Dr. Matthews. I'm simply existing while you destroy your own career." "My career?" He laughed bitterly. "I've been chief of cardiology for 10 years. I have tenure. I have connections. I'll destroy any chance you have of working in healthcare again." Maya met his gaze steadily. "Dr. Matthews, are you threatening me? I'm educating you about reality. I have influence. You have nothing." The clock on the wall showed 2:59 p.m. Maya's phone rang again. This time she answered, putting it on speaker. "Maya? Honey, where are you?" The voice was warm, authoritative, distinctly upper class with a slight British accent. Wellington frowned at the familiar tone. "I'm handling something, Dad. I'll be right there." "Dad?" Dr. Matthews laughed loudly. "Seriously? Some fake daddy calling to save you? What's next? Claiming your royalty?" "The board is assembled," the voice continued through the phone. "The press conference starts in 30 seconds. We can't announce the new hospital ownership structure without you there." Complete silence fell over the break room. Dr. Matthews' face went white. Maya smiled for the first time since the ordeal began. "Actually, Dr. Matthews, I think it's time you met my father." She stood up from the chair, Tom no longer restraining her. Her movement was fluid, confident, and somehow regal despite her shaved and brutalized appearance. "Dr. Matthews," Maya said, turning back one final time, "when someone tells you they're going to be somewhere in exactly 13 minutes, maybe you should ask where they're going." The live stream viewer count hit 4,127 as Maya walked toward the door with quiet dignity, heading toward the elevator that would take her to the executive conference room on the 20th floor. Behind her, Dr. Matthews stood frozen, the implications of what he'd just heard finally beginning to penetrate his arrogance. The electric razor fell from his numb fingers, clattering on the floor beside the scattered remnants of Maya's hair. 3 p.m. Executive Conference Room, 20th floor. Maya stepped out of the elevator into the marble-floored executive suite. Her brutalized scalp caught the afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. 12 board members in expensive suits turned to stare at her appearance. At the head of the mahogany table sat Chairman Robert Davidson, 62, silver-haired, commanding presence in a $10,000 Savile Row suit. His eyes locked onto his daughter's shaved head. His expression remained neutral, but his knuckles whitened as he gripped his Mont Blanc pen. "Gentlemen, ladies," Chairman Davidson announced, his British accent crisp with controlled fury, "meet my daughter, Maya Davidson, your new Chief Administrative Officer." The room erupted in confused murmurs. Several board members recognized Maya as that nurse, but had never questioned why she attended charity galas at the head table. Maya took her seat at her father's right hand, a position of clear succession. Her simple scrubs contrasted starkly with the boardroom's luxury, making her brutalized appearance even more jarring. "Maya will now brief you on the incident that just occurred 20 floors below us." 3:01 p.m. Meanwhile, breakroom chaos. Dr. Matthews stood frozen, electric razor still in his numb hand. The live stream exploded to 8,000 viewers. Comments flooded the screen faster than anyone could read them. The reality was beginning to penetrate his arrogance, but denial still clouded his thinking. CEO Dr. Stone grabbed Rebecca Carter's arm. "Rebecca, tell me you knew who she was." "I thought she was just another diversity hire," Rebecca whispered, her face ash white. Oh, God, we're finished. Hospital attorney Margaret Foster burst through the crowd, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, I understand. No, we cannot contain this. The live stream is viral. Yes, that Davidson family. Dr. Matthews finally found his voice. This is impossible. She's just a nurse. Nobody. Dr. Stone turned on him with savage fury. You just racially assaulted the daughter of our primary investor on live television, you absolute moron. The weight of his actions began crashing down on Matthews like an avalanche. His surgical career, his reputation, his entire life, all destroyed in 13 minutes of racist arrogance. 3:02 p.m., the documentation. Maya connected her phone to the boardroom's presentation system. Her evidence filled the massive screen with devastating precision. For 18 months, I've worked as Maya Johnson, ICU nurse, documenting systemic racism at this facility. Her voice carried the calm authority of someone born to power. Today's assault by Dr. Richard Matthews was captured on live stream and witnessed by 15 staff members. She played the audio. Dr. Matthews' voice echoed through the boardroom. Hold still, ghetto girl. Time for a real makeover. Board member James Morrison loosened his tie, sweat beading on his forehead. Maya, surely this is an isolated incident. One man's poor judgment. Actually, Mr. Morrison, it's not. Maya clicked through slides showing systematic discrimination data. 47 minority employees have filed complaints over 2 years, all dismissed without investigation. The numbers filled the screen. Hiring disparities, promotion gaps, wage inequities, disciplinary actions, showing clear racial bias patterns that couldn't be explained away. Dr. Matthews has 7 previous complaints, all from employees of color, all buried by the administration. 3:03 p.m., the financial reality. Chairman Davidson stood, his presence dominating the room like a force of nature. Davidson Medical Holdings owns 68% of this hospital's operational capital. We control your pharmaceutical contracts, medical supply chains, and insurance networks. Maya continued the presentation with clinical precision. Annual revenue, $1.2 billion. Davidson dependent revenue, $847 million. Today's liability exposure from the racial assault, conservatively, $400 million. She clicked to the next slide. Stock projections and market analysis. Share price has dropped 12% since the live stream went viral 1 hour ago. Projected losses if discrimination lawsuits proceed, $340 million minimum. Board member Patricia Williams, chief legal counsel, spoke carefully. Maya, what exactly are you proposing? I'm not proposing anything, Maya replied with steel in her voice. I'm stating facts. This hospital will either undergo complete structural reform or Davidson Medical Holdings will divest entirely. 3:04 p.m., the phone call. Maya's phone buzzed. She answered without hesitation. Darling, I just landed from Geneva. How did the demonstration go? The voice belonged to David Carter Davidson, Maya's husband and CEO of Davidson Medical Holdings International Operations. Exactly as we predicted, David. Dr. Matthews exceeded even our worst projections for racist behavior. Excellent. The legal team is standing by in London. We can initiate complete divestiture procedures within the hour if necessary. The board members exchanged panicked glances. Morrison's construction company held $50 million in hospital contracts. Foster's law firm billed $2 million annually in legal fees. Every person in the room had financial ties to Davidson Medical Holdings. David's voice continued through the speaker. The Shanghai office has prepared alternative investment opportunities. 3 hospitals in California are interested in our capital partnership. Hold on that for now, Maya replied. I'm giving them 48 hours to prove they can change. 3:05 p.m., the evidence mountain. Maya clicked to her next presentation slide, a comprehensive database of discrimination incidents she'd personally documented. I have photographs, audio recordings, witness statements, and documentation of 47 separate incidents of workplace discrimination. Names, dates, exact quotes, financial damages to affected employees. The slides showed systematic patterns. Minority employees passed over for promotions despite superior qualifications. Disciplinary actions. Disproportionately targeting people of color, salary disparities that couldn't be explained by experience or education. Every incident was reported through proper channels. Every complaint was dismissed or buried. The pattern shows institutional racism, not individual prejudice. Board member Foster leaned forward desperately. Maya, these are serious accusations. How do we know this evidence is authentic? Maya smiled coldly. Because I lived it, Margaret. Every racist comment, every dismissive gesture, every microaggression. I experienced what every minority employee faces when they think you're powerless. 3:06 p.m. The ultimatum. Chairman Davidson returned to his seat, his movements deliberate and controlled. The terms for Davidson Medical Holdings' continued partnership are non-negotiable. Maya took over, her voice carrying absolute authority despite her brutalized appearance. Immediate termination of Dr. Matthews and any administrator who supported today's assault. Complete restructuring of HR policies with independent oversight. Mandatory bias training for all staff, administered by external consultants. Public acknowledgement of institutional failures with concrete reform commitments. She paused, letting the weight of consequences settle over the room. Furthermore, establishment of a $10 million fund for affected minority employees, creation of an independent oversight committee with 50% minority representation, and quarterly public reporting on diversity metrics. Morrison wiped sweat from his brow. Maya, these demands would fundamentally alter hospital operations. Yes, Maya replied with calm finality. They would create an institution worthy of our family's investment, or you can explain to your stakeholders why you chose to protect racist employees over $847 million in annual revenue. Chairman Davidson stood, signaling the meeting's conclusion. You have 48 hours to vote and implement these reforms. Davidson Medical Holdings will respond accordingly. As father and daughter moved toward the elevator, Maya turned back once more. Her shaved head caught the light, a powerful symbol of dignity maintained under assault. The next time someone tells you they need to be somewhere in 13 minutes, you might want to ask who's waiting for them. The elevator doors closed, leaving the board in stunned silence as the magnitude of their situation settled over them like a death sentence. 3:07 p.m. Emergency board vote. The boardroom fell into chaos the moment Maya and her father left. 12 of the most powerful people in California healthcare sat in stunned silence, processing the magnitude of their situation. Board member James Morrison broke first. We're fucked. Completely and utterly fucked. His construction empire depended on hospital contracts worth $47 million annually. Without Davidson backing, those deals would evaporate overnight. Legal counsel Margaret Foster frantically calculated liability exposure on her laptop. Discrimination lawsuit settlements could reach $400 million. Our insurance covers $50 million maximum. The hospital would face immediate bankruptcy. CEO Dr. Stone paced behind his chair like a caged animal. 20 years building this institution's reputation, destroyed in 13 minutes by that racist sociopath. Patricia Williams, the only black board member, spoke with quiet fury. I warned you about Matthews repeatedly. 7 discrimination complaints ignored, 7 opportunities to prevent this disaster. Morrison turned on her defensively. Patricia, you never said it was this serious. I said he was creating legal liability. You dismissed it as oversensitivity. Now we're facing complete financial ruin because you protected a racist. 3:10 p.m. The financial reality Foster displayed the hospital's financial structure on the conference room screen. The numbers told a devastating story of Davidson dependency. Davidson Medical Holdings, 68% ownership stake, $847 million in controlled revenue streams. If they divest completely, we lose pharmaceutical contracts worth $234 million annually, medical supply partnerships worth $156 million, and insurance network access representing $312 million in patient billing. She clicked to the next slide. Our bonds are rated based on Davidson's backing. Without them, we face immediate downgrade to junk status. Construction loans for the new cardiac wing, $200 million, become callable within 30 days. Dr. Stone slumped into his chair. So we're not just facing lawsuits, we're facing complete institutional collapse. Correct, Foster replied grimly. Davidson doesn't need to sue us into bankruptcy. They can simply withdraw and watch us die. Board member Susan Carter raised her hand tentatively. Could we find alternative investors? Replace Davidson's capital? Foster shook her head. Not with pending discrimination lawsuits and viral video evidence of institutional racism. No investment firm would touch us. We'd be toxic assets. 3:15 p.m. The ultimatum analysis. Morrison pulled up Davidson's reform demands on his tablet. Let's examine what they're actually asking for. Maybe we can negotiate. Foster read aloud. Immediate termination of Dr. Matthews. That's done. He's finished anyway. Complete HR restructuring with external oversight. Expensive but manageable. Mandatory bias training for 2,847 employees. Costly but not impossible. She continued. $10 million equity fund for affected minorities. Significant but not catastrophic. Independent oversight committee with 50% minority representation. This gives them permanent control over our policies. And quarterly public diversity reporting, Dr. Stone added. Complete transparency. Any future discrimination incidents become front-page news. Morrison loosened his tie. They're not just demanding reforms. They're demanding permanent oversight and public accountability. We'd never be able to sweep problems under the rug again. Williams smiled coldly. Exactly. Maya Davidson spent 18 months documenting how we handle discrimination complaints. She knows our entire system is corrupt. 3:20 p.m. The phone calls. Foster's phone buzzed with urgent calls from the hospital's law firm. She answered on speaker. Margaret, we've reviewed the live stream footage and Maya Davidson's evidence files, said senior partner Robert Klein. This is the worst discrimination case I've seen in 30 years. If this goes to trial, you're looking at 9-figure settlements minimum. Dr. Stone leaned toward the phone. Robert, what are our options for fighting this? Klein's laugh was bitter. Fighting. Jonathan, they have you on video assaulting the owner's daughter while she was documenting 18 months of systematic racism. There is no defense. Your only option is complete surrender and hope they show mercy. Morrison grabbed the phone. What about challenging their evidence, claiming entrapment? James, entrapment applies to police investigations, not private documentation of actual crimes. Maya Davidson never encouraged the racist behavior. She simply recorded it happening naturally. Every word and action was authentic. The room absorbed this legal reality in silence. 3:25 p.m. The vote preparation Dr. Stone called for order. We need to vote on Davidson's ultimatum, but first, let's be clear about our alternatives. He walked to the whiteboard and drew 2 columns. Option 1, accept all demands, immediate costs, $15 million in reforms, permanent oversight, public accountability, complete cultural transformation. He moved to the second column. Option 2, refuse demands. Davidson divests immediately. Hospital faces $400 million in lawsuits, loses $847 million in revenue, bonds downgraded to junk status, construction loans called, and institutional bankruptcy within 6 months. Williams stood up. There's a third option you're ignoring. We could have prevented this entirely by addressing discrimination complaints properly from the beginning. Morrison shot back angrily. Hindsight doesn't help us now, Patricia. No, but understanding how we got here might help us make better decisions going forward, Williams replied firmly. 3:30 p.m., the reckoning Foster received a text message and went pale. The live stream has been viewed 15 million times. #St. Catherine's racism is trending in 12 countries. CNN wants an interview. The New York Times is running a front-page story tomorrow. Dr. Stone realized the full scope of their crisis. This isn't just about financial survival anymore. This is about whether we can continue operating as a medical institution. No qualified staff will work for a hospital known for tolerating racism. Morrison's phone buzzed with calls from nervous business partners. His company's stock price had dropped 8% since the video went viral. Guilt by association was destroying his other ventures. We have to accept the demands, he said quietly. We have no choice. Susan Carter nodded reluctantly. Maya Davidson played this perfectly. She documented everything, built an unbeatable case, and left us with only one viable option. Williams allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. She spent 18 months experiencing what every minority employee faces when they're considered powerless. Now she's shown exactly what happens when you underestimate someone. 3:35 p.m. The final decision Dr. Stone called for the formal vote. All in favor of accepting Davidson Medical Holdings reform demands in full? 11 hands rose immediately. Only Morrison hesitated before raising his hand last. Motion carries unanimously, Dr. Stone announced. Margaret, draft the acceptance letter immediately. Include timeline for implementation and public acknowledgement of institutional failures. Foster was already typing. Ready. I'll have legal documents ready within the hour. Full compliance begins tomorrow morning. The room buzzed with urgent phone calls as board members began damage control with their own business interests and reputation management. 3:40 p.m., the implementation Dr. Stone's assistant brought news that Maya and Chairman Davidson were still in the building, waiting in the executive lounge. They knew, Williams observed. They knew exactly how this vote would go. Maya's strategy was flawless from beginning to end. Morrison wiped sweat from his forehead. She let us humiliate and assault her publicly to build a case we couldn't fight. That takes incredible courage and strategic thinking. Foster finished drafting the acceptance letter. Or incredible anger channeled into perfect revenge. She didn't just want justice for herself. She wanted to transform the entire system that enabled Matthew's behavior. Dr. Stone reviewed the document before signing. Whatever her motivations, she saved this hospital from destruction while forcing us to become better than we were. 3:45 p.m. The surrender. Maya and Chairman Davidson returned to the boardroom. The mood had shifted completely. The board members who had been confused and resistant 90 minutes earlier now showed proper deference to their actual owners. "We vote to accept all terms," Dr. Stone announced formally. "Full implementation begins immediately with complete board support." Maya nodded calmly. "Implementation timeline is 48 hours for terminations and policy changes. Training programs begin next week. The equity fund will be established within 30 days. Chairman Davidson added, "Davidson Medical Holdings will monitor compliance closely. This transformation is not optional or temporary. It's permanent and non-negotiable." As they prepared to leave again, Maya turned back once more. Her shaved head and calm dignity created a powerful image that would haunt the board members for years. "You'll find that treating all employees with dignity and respect actually improves patient care, staff retention, and financial performance. Justice and profitability aren't mutually exclusive." The elevator doors closed on their complete victory, leaving the board to begin the most comprehensive corporate transformation in hospital history. 48 hours later, dawn of change. The transformation began at 6 a.m. with security escort teams arriving at Dr. Matthews' luxury home in Beverly Hills. His termination was swift and absolute, 20 years of surgical privilege ending with a cardboard box and photographers capturing his humiliation. Matthews emerged from the hospital for the last time, his Armani suit wrinkled, his surgical confidence shattered. The man who had wielded a razor against Maya now faced the blade of consequences. "This is insanity," he muttered to his lawyer. "One moment of honesty destroying everything I've built. Richard, you committed a racially motivated assault on live stream." Attorney David Sterling replied coldly. "Honesty would have been admitting your prejudice and getting help. This was criminal behavior." By noon, Matthew's medical license was suspended pending investigation. His malpractice insurance was canceled. His country club membership was revoked. The California Medical Board opened formal proceedings that would likely end his career permanently. Administrator Rebecca Carter and HR Director Mike Kelton faced similar fates. Their complicity in systemic discrimination, documented through Maya's evidence, made them legally toxic. No healthcare institution would hire executives associated with viral racism. The new leadership structure, Dr. Patricia Williams, stepped into the CEO role with a mandate for complete cultural reconstruction. Her first executive decision established the Maya Davidson Center for Healthcare Equity, a permanent oversight body with independent authority to investigate discrimination complaints. "We're not just removing bad actors," Dr. Williams announced at an all-staff meeting. "We're building systems that prevent future abuse and protect every employee regardless of race, gender, or background." The changes were comprehensive and immediate. The SafeSpeak anonymous reporting system launched with guaranteed 24-hour response times. Every complaint would be investigated by external auditors, eliminating internal conflicts of interest that had buried previous reports. Mandatory bias training began for all 2,847 employees. Harvard Business School's Center for Inclusion designed intensive workshops that went far beyond superficial seminars. Surgeons, nurses, custodial staff, and administrators all participated in identical programs emphasizing unconscious bias recognition and cultural competency. Tom Williams, redemption security guard Tom Williams, fired for refusing to continue restraining Maya, was personally invited back by Chairman Davidson with a promotion to security chief. Standing before the assembled staff, Tom's voice carried the weight of hard-earned wisdom. I was wrong to participate in that assault initially. No authority figure has the right to demand you compromise your conscience. When I finally did the right thing, I lost my job but kept my soul. The staff erupted in sustained applause. Tom's daughter, watching the live stream from Oakland, texted, "Proud of you, Dad. You showed me what courage looks like." His reinstatement sent a clear message. Moral courage would be rewarded, not punished, in the hospital's new culture. Systemic transformation results. Within 6 months, the data showed dramatic improvements across every measurable category. Patient satisfaction scores increased by 31% as diverse medical staff provided better cultural competency and language services. The hospital became a preferred destination for minority patients who had previously avoided seeking care due to discrimination concerns. Staff retention among minority employees improved by 67%. When people feel respected and valued, they perform better and stay longer. The constant turnover costs that had plagued the hospital for years disappeared, saving millions in recruitment and training expenses. Medical error rates decreased by 23%. Diverse teams catch more mistakes and provide different perspectives on patient care. The improved workplace communication and reduced tension created a safer environment for everyone. Financial performance exceeded all projections. Despite initial concerns about reform costs, the hospital's reputation for inclusivity attracted new patients, top-tier medical talent, and additional investment opportunities from socially conscious healthcare funds. The $10 million equity fund Maya personally reviewed each of the 47 documented discrimination cases, ensuring settlements reflected actual damages and lost opportunities. Nurse Jennifer Walsh received $180,000 for missed promotions. Custodial supervisor Carlos Rodriguez got $95,000 for wage disparities and hostile work environment damages. The fund wasn't just about money. It was public acknowledgement that discrimination had real victims with real losses. Each settlement included written apologies from hospital leadership and commitments that such treatment would never be tolerated again. Maya's philosophy in action. Returning to her ICU nursing duties wearing elegant head wraps that became her signature style, Maya embodied the principle that dignity and competence weren't mutually exclusive. Colleagues no longer saw her as just a nurse, but as someone who had risked everything to protect their rights. The hardest part wasn't the humiliation, Maya reflected during a staff meeting. It was choosing between immediate retaliation and strategic patience. Destroying Dr. Matthews personally would have been satisfying but temporary. Changing the system protects everyone who comes after me. Her approach had been methodical and brilliant. 18 months of evidence gathering, careful documentation, strategic patience, and perfect timing achieved what years of traditional complaints never could. National impact and recognition. The Maya Davidson case became required reading at Harvard Business School's leadership program. Her strategy of infiltration, documentation, and strategic revelation was studied as a masterclass in effective corporate reform. The Davidson approach entered business vocabulary as shorthand for systematic change through patience and evidence, rather than emotional confrontations. Maya had proven that strategic thinking could accomplish more than righteous anger. 34 states introduced healthcare discrimination legislation directly inspired by St. Catherine's reforms. The Federal Crown Act was expanded to protect natural hair in medical settings nationwide, with Maya testifying before Congress about workplace dignity. Fortune 500 companies implemented similar transparency measures, anonymous reporting systems, and external oversight committees. The viral video had sparked a national conversation about institutional racism that extended far beyond healthcare. Corporate boardrooms across America asked uncomfortable questions. Do we have a Maya Davidson documenting our culture? What would our internal communications look like under public scrutiny? The personal transformation. Maya's marriage to David Carter Davidson grew stronger through the crisis. He had supported her dangerous strategy without trying to intervene or protect her from necessary suffering. I married a nurse who became a revolutionary, David told Forbes magazine. She could have revealed her identity immediately and avoided the assault. Instead, she endured humiliation to build a case that would protect thousands of other employees. Chairman Davidson expressed profound pride in his daughter's courage and strategic brilliance. Maya taught me that true power isn't the ability to crush your enemies immediately. It's the wisdom to endure temporary defeat in service of permanent victory. The Davidson family's reputation was enhanced rather than damaged. Their commitment to justice over profit, their willingness to risk financial losses for moral principles, and Maya's personal sacrifice for systemic change earned respect across racial and political lines. Dr. Matthews' downfall. 6 months later, Richard Matthews sat in his studio apartment, unemployed and facing multiple lawsuits. His surgical skills, once his source of pride and power, were irrelevant without a medical license or hospital privileges. The institution he claimed to protect through his racism was thriving without him. Patient outcomes improved, staff morale soared, financial performance exceeded expectations. His absence had made everyone safer, happier, and more successful. Matthews finally understood the terrible irony. His racist behavior had been the real threat to hospital standards, not Maya's natural hair or any minority employee's presence. A new standard. St. Catherine's Hospital became the gold standard for inclusive healthcare nationwide. Medical students requested rotations specifically to experience the transformed culture. Other hospitals hired former St. Catherine's staff to implement similar reforms at their institutions. The live stream video that began as documentation of racist assault became a training tool for recognizing and preventing workplace discrimination. Maya's calm dignity under attack, her strategic patience, and her systematic approach to institutional change inspired a generation of advocates. The quiet revolution was complete. Maya had proven that justice achieved through institutional transformation was more powerful and lasting than personal revenge. The system that had protected Dr. Matthews and enabled his behavior was dismantled and rebuilt with equity as its foundation. Power has been redefined, not as the ability to humiliate others, but as the capacity to create lasting change that protects the vulnerable and builds a better world for everyone. 1 year later, the ripple effect. Maya Davidson Chen adjusted her silk head wrap in her private office mirror. The scar tissue had healed, but she kept her head covered as a symbol of transformation. Outside her window, construction crews worked on the new Maya Davidson Wing for Inclusive Medicine, a $150 million expansion funded by the hospital's increased success. The transformation exceeded all expectations. What began as viral racist brutality had become a blueprint for institutional change studied worldwide. Maya's philosophy proven. Power isn't about revenge, Maya reflected during her staff meeting. It's about creating change that outlasts your anger. I could have destroyed careers immediately using my family's influence. Instead, I built a system that protects everyone who comes after me. Her approach revolutionized corporate accountability. The Davidson method, strategic patience, documentation, and precise timing, was now taught in business schools as the gold standard for institutional reform. Rather than pursuing immediate satisfaction, Maya had channeled anger into systematic change, protecting thousands of future employees. Her temporary suffering purchased permanent transformation. National movement impact. Maya's story sparked the #DignityAtWork movement, generating 3.2 million social media posts from workers sharing discrimination experiences. 37 states passed workplace anti-discrimination legislation directly inspired by her case. Fortune 500 companies scrambled to implement Davidson-style transparency measures. Anonymous reporting systems and external oversight became industry standards. Corporate America learned it was cheaper to prevent discrimination than suffer the consequences of enabling it. Maya had made equality profitable by demonstrating the massive costs of institutional racism. Personal transformations. Tom Williams became a national speaker on workplace moral courage. No job is worth compromising your soul, he told audiences across the country. Dr. Patricia Williams transformed St. Catherine's into California's most diverse and successful hospital. Patient outcomes improved dramatically, while discrimination complaints dropped to zero, proving inclusive leadership created better results for everyone. Even former antagonists found redemption. Several doctors who filmed Maya's assault became advocates for workplace dignity, using their experience as cautionary tales about remaining silent during injustice. Maya's legacy. The Davidson Medical Holdings empire strengthened through the crisis. Investors flocked to a company proving ethical leadership under pressure. Stock prices reached all-time highs as socially conscious funds competed for partnerships. Maya and David established the International Center for Workplace Dignity, a $500 million foundation supporting discriminated employees worldwide. Their work expanded beyond healthcare to address bias in technology, finance, and manufacturing. Dr. Matthews' fate. Richard Matthews worked part-time at a medical supply warehouse. His surgical career permanently ended. Multiple lawsuits drained his savings. His medical license remained suspended. The man who once held life and death power now understood the terrible irony. His racist behavior had been the real threat to hospital standards, not Maya's presence or any minority employee's dignity. Direct call to action. On the third anniversary, Maya addressed viewers directly. If you're experiencing workplace discrimination, document everything. Build your case methodically. Find allies quietly. Then strike with precision, not emotion. This was never just about hair or hospitals. It's about human dignity. Every person deserves respect regardless of race, gender, or background. When systems fail to protect dignity, we must strategically dismantle and rebuild them. Don't let anger make you reactive. Channel it into systematic change. Your temporary suffering might purchase permanent transformation for thousands of others. Maya looked directly into the camera, her presence commanding attention across millions of screens. Share this story if you believe everyone deserves workplace dignity. Comment below with your own discrimination experiences. Your voice matters. Your story could inspire the next person facing similar challenges. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut for more stories of quiet strength defeating loud prejudice. Together, we build workplaces where everyone's humanity is respected. Remember, the most powerful weapon against injustice isn't anger or violence. It's strategic patience combined with unwavering purpose. Final message. The documentary ended with Maya walking through St. Catherine's corridors, surrounded by diverse staff who smiled and waved. The hospital's Diversity Award gleamed in the lobby. Maya paused at the memorial wall honoring employees who fought discrimination. Her photograph was there, not as a victim, but as a transformer of systems. Final words appeared on screen. Sometimes the most powerful revolution begins with one person's refusal to accept injustice as normal. Maya Davidson proved individual courage, strategic thinking, and systematic action could transform entire institutions. Her legacy lived in every workplace where dignity was protected, every employee who felt safe being themselves, every system rebuilt with justice as foundation. The quiet revolution continued, one documented injustice and strategic response at a time. The power to change the world existed within each person, willing to endure temporary suffering for permanent transformation. Maya had simply shown everyone how to use it.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.